G'day there guys, it's your Aussie Hubby Markee, back at it again with another r/legal advice video. Now if you love me as much as I love you, you know what to do. Mosey on over to that old like button and tackle it like Steve Irwin would a crocodile. Maybe even chuck an Aussie flag down in the comments if you stay in a while. Now with that out of the way, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some good content. Indianapolis. 4 days ago, I accidentally almost got into the wrong car, causing the elderly woman inside the car to try to flee, and she fell. Today I was told I would be sued if I didn't pay ambulance and ER bills. 4 days ago, Monday the 4th of the 11th, I was parked in a very full parking lot, and returned to my car in a distracted state. I didn't realize that I had parked next to a car that was identical to mine. I opened the unlocked driver's side door and put my leg in, but immediately withdrew my leg because I heard someone inhale sharply and then heard the passenger side door open. Obviously this wasn't my car, so I began apologizing, and as I was shutting the door, I could see an elderly woman struggling to get out of the car. I was still apologizing when she fell out of the car. I went around quickly and asked if she was alright. Did she need me to call an ambulance? Did she need me to go find whoever she was waiting for, etc.? She told me I didn't need to call an ambulance, but asked if I would stay with her until her daughter came back. She didn't know which store her daughter was in and didn't have her number memorized. I helped her back into the passenger's seat. She had an abrasion on her right palm, which I offered to disinfect since I keep a first aid kit in my car. She accepted and said that she wasn't hurt anywhere else, just shaken up. She asked me for water and I gave her a bottle from my car. She told me she was a diabetic and that her blood sugar was low and that she didn't have her insulin with her, so I offered her a banana. We spent about 5 or so minutes together before her daughter came running up. We explained to her what had happened, and the daughter was pissed at me. Rightfully so, since I did scare her mother and she fell. I offered again to call an ambulance to make sure she was alright, and they both refused. I suggested they take her to the doctor as soon as possible to make sure that she didn't injure anything from the fall. I apologized again and went home. This morning, the mother and daughter showed up on my front porch. I think they were trying to intimidate me since the husband stood there the entire time with his arms crossed, and with what I assume was supposed to be a scary look on his face. The elderly woman and I only exchanged first names, so I don't know how they found out who I am or where I lived. I asked, and they said they had their ways. The daughter told me she ended up calling an ambulance because her mother began to have a panic attack before they left the parking lot. I asked if she was okay, and she told me that wasn't any of my business. She said they were going to sue me if I didn't pay the ER bill and the ambulance bill. They said they wanted $3,500. I asked if her mother had insurance, and was again told that it wasn't my business. I asked to see the bills because I obviously have my doubts that they said they didn't have them with them. I said, "So you expect me to just hand you $3,500? And that pissed them both off. I told them to get off my property and that I would call the police if they refused or came back. I told them to have their lawyer contact me. They both called me a bitch and left. I've included every detail I can think of, so my question is, could they really sue me? I understand you can basically sue anyone for anything, but am I legally responsible to pay these medical bills if they do in fact exist? Thanks in advance, I'm on mobile, so I apologize for any formatting errors. Edit, thank you to those who responded. I'm 31, but often get mistaken for someone much younger. The daughter and her husband are, or look to be, in their mid to late 40s. I suspect they may just have seen what they think to be a young and naive woman that may be dumb and scared enough to pay them. I do have a home security system. I can also defend myself should my home security system fail. Thank you to those voicing concern for my safety. I don't know much about diabetes. The woman told me she was lightheaded and that she had diabetes, and that her blood sugar was low. She asked if I had any food, and I gave her the banana in my purse. She specifically mentioned not having her insulin with her. And there's not really much to this, there's no update, but there is a pretty long comment here that says, "You should probably contact the police about their contact with you, and let them know that you have instructed that they are trespassing if they are on your property. Edit, this will make it easier for the police to cite them, rather than just warn them if it happens again and you call the police. Discuss with the police the fact that you asked how they found your address, and that they said they have their ways. Also discuss that you felt like they were trying to threaten and intimidate you with their presence. It's likely that they either followed you home, or they somehow took some paperwork from you with your address. Or, they may have contact with someone in the police department, and they gave them your license plate and got your address this way. This is at best a violation of department policy, and very likely a crime. The police department will be able to make the legal/improper query. The police will likely not tell you the result of the investigation, but if you were calm but firm about them taking the threat and trespass warning seriously, it's likely that they will investigate. Especially if one of the two of them who you have trespassed is an officer or an employee of the police department. If you are sued, you need to tell your attorney that you reported this to the police, and that they may have a report/investigation. Can they try? Sure. Will they be successful? Highly doubt it. Sounds like the reason the old woman fell is because of her low blood sugar. An abrasion to the palm from the actual fall isn't an injury that warrants an ambulance ride or a hospital trip. And they've pulled this $3,500 figure out of their asses because literally no one would have hospital or ambulance billing 4 days after an accident. If they show up at your house again, call the police. Neighbor damaged their car pulling into my driveway, want us to pay for repairs. Ontario, Canada. Neighbors across the street, entire family, uses our driveway to pull into before backing into their own driveway. We have asked them to stop, but they ignore us. They say there is no city bylaw against it, which I believe is correct. In the past, they have damaged our lawn, broken our garbage can, and damaged our recycling/compost bins. Today was garbage day, and I put out some broken shelves at the end of our driveway with a garbage can and other bins to make it easier for the garbage workers to reach, because of the snowbanks. About an hour ago, angry neighbors show up at our door and say that we need to keep our driveway clear at all times, and the trash there damaged their car when they pulled in. He wanted to know where they should send their car for repairs, since we would be paying. To say I am angry is an understatement. He claimed the first few feet of our driveway is public property controlled by the city, and since it wasn't kept clean and damaged his car, we need to pay. I asked him to leave our property before I called the police. He told me to go ahead. At that point, I closed the door and locked it. Can I really be held liable for having an idiotic neighbor? Is my best course of action to just ignore him until I get served with legal papers, or should I be proactive and get a lawyer myself? Look mate, neighbor is a complete idiot. In the first place, in Ontario, the driver of the vehicle who collides with stationary objects is 100% at fault. Additionally, he is a criminally liable idiot. In fact, there is an Ontario law against it. It's called the Trespass to Property Act. Having asked the neighbor not to trespass on your property, you have satisfied the notice provision. Thereafter, each time the neighbor uses your driveway is an offense for which they can be arrested and charged, and the proof lies on them that they have a right to your driveway. Your statement that you orally notified them to cease is sufficient to defeat any claims they have to the contrary. Edit, assuming you possess the property to the edge of the roadway, which is not unusual, easement or not, you would still be the person occupying the property. If the neighbor threatens to call the police, you could dial the number for them, then go inside and make popcorn, print the statute, and ask the responding officers to explain it to your neighbor. Don't forget the damages part. Once there is damage to the property, the recycling bins, etc., there is a case. The classic 4 are duties owed, breach of duty, negligence, damages. The hostile neighbor hit all 4. In most courts, that is sufficient to pursue recovery against the jerks. And most Canadian homes in most municipalities have a municipally owned strip in front of them that is considered part of the roadway. On my street, it varies from about 20 feet down to a few inches in front of our house. Many people use this for parking in front of their own homes, and it is considered extremely rude to use a neighbor's without permission. Some places allow only a certain width of drive over this strip. Homeowners must maintain it, and in my city cannot landscape, add trees, or retaining walls without permits. And now, on to our update. Neighbor damaged their car pulling into my driveway, wants us to pay for repairs. It's been about a week since the issue came up, and I thought I would post an update. I ended up going to speak with them the following day to tell them about the trespass. I also gave them a letter stating the same thing. It's just something I made up based on suggestions here and what I found on the internet. They seemed a little surprised and didn't say much other than I should expect to hear from their attorney. So far, we haven't heard from anyone lawyer-wise. For a short time, I felt like the problem was resolved as nobody used our driveway. This all changed yesterday, Friday, exactly a week since the incident, when my neighbor pulled into my driveway as I was clearing ice from it. He smiled, waved, and reversed into his driveway. I did manage to take a photo as I shook my head no at him. They used our driveway at least 2 other times in the evening after dark that we know about. I called the non-emergency police number this morning to report the trespassing, and the call taker told me someone would contact us soon. At this point, I think I would be surprised if the police did anything based on what I'll mention later in my text. I have also pursued this in 2 other ways. First, the bylaw folks did get back in touch with me to tell me that there has been no bylaw stating others couldn't use my driveway. They also said that I'm well within my rights to put anything I want in my driveway anywhere, as long as it's not a permanent structure. I also learned that blocking my driveway from the street is not permitted and that anything within 1.5 meters on either side of the driveway is considered blocking. Bylaw said that the damage to the car is a civil matter and has nothing to do with them. Not surprised there. Lastly, I tried to find out if I own the driveway all the way to the road. This has been an exercise in frustration, to be honest. Right now, the only thing I know for sure is the following. City right-of-way. This term refers to the city-owned portion of a piece of land. It is very often wider than the road and sidewalks that may abut your property and can extend to a considerable extent onto your property. The city maintains a right-of-way wider than the width of the road in the event that a road widening becomes necessary at some point in the future. Notwithstanding this, a property owner is still responsible for maintaining the city-owned portion of their land, with respects to matters such as grass cutting and snow clearance. The exact extent of the city's right-of-way can be determined through a plan of survey. This leads me to believe that the city does own a piece of the driveway, but I don't know how much and if this means my neighbor can use it. The fact that they began using it a week after my visit leads me to believe that they found out that they are free to use it. At this point, we are trying to decide if we drop it or go all in and hire our own attorney. Someone from the planning department of the city is going to be calling us back next week, at least I hope. Thanks to everyone for all the great advice. Cheers. And now, final update. I figured I owed you all one final update. Idiot Neighbor will now forever be known as Jerk Neighbor. We received a letter from a law firm representing them. The letter basically says we put obstructions in the driveway when we knew they used it on a daily basis. They are now willing to settle for the cost of repairs plus attorney costs. I don't know if they are permitted here or not, but screw them. I may not be able to block them using our driveway, see below, but I won't be paying them anything ever. We have heard back from the city police and they won't do anything unless we are threatened. A wave does not constitute a threat, so they want no part of this. I also got a copy of the property map, and the city owns more than half the distance between the house and the road. Give or take, the city portion is about a normal car length. We are granted a right-of-way. Technically, Jerk Neighbor has no right to use it, but nothing will be done by the city to block this, and there is no bylaw against it. Lastly, we cannot trespass people on the city's portion of our driveway. I have a feeling that Jerk Neighbor was made aware of this sometime around when they started using our driveway again. I have hired a lawyer. He has asked that I no longer post to social media, so with that said, I'm out. And our next post. I believe my HIPAA rights were violated when my surgeon's scheduler told my parents that I was pregnant. I never thought about the situation like this, but I had people point out that my rights may have been violated, and I'm not sure what steps to take next, and I'll try to explain the situation the best I can. I am 24 and live in the USA, and I'm on birth control, but it failed. I didn't realize that I was pregnant until I went to the hospital for something unrelated and found out I needed surgery for something and that I was pregnant on the same day. I quickly looked into abortion options, but haven't been able to go through with it because I haven't had the fundings, but I'm trying to figure out now so I can get the surgery and be healthy again. I went for my surgical consultation, and the doctor said he would feel much safer waiting for me to terminate before performing the surgery, but I would have to schedule the surgery through his assistant A. A called me shortly after the surgical consultation and pressed me the entire phone call to keep the baby, but when I told her I was planning on going through with the termination, wouldn't schedule my appointments until I had gone through with it. So I've had to put the appointment off and wait until then, which is fine. But my parents are in on why I need the surgery, and I've had to come up with excuses as to why I can't schedule it yet, because I don't want them to try to pressure me not to terminate. Fast forward to last Tuesday, and I get a text from my dad that says something to the effect of, "We know why you haven't scheduled the appointment, and we're very disappointed in you." It turns out that they called the office, and the assistant disclosed my pregnancy to my parents, and it's causing me a great deal of emotional turmoil, because my parents have been acting super weird around me, and now I'm doubly stressed about the situation. I never gave her or anyone else permission to disclose my medical status to anyone, and I feel like my rights as a patient have been violated. I guess my question would be, do I have grounds for legal recourse? What would my next steps be, and what should I do from here? Edit, fixed a word because I don't proofread. Edit. Thank you so much for everyone's kind words. This has helped me immensely, and I appreciate all of the advice that I've gotten, and am continuing to get. I'm so grateful that I have been met with nothing but kind words and thoughts. It sounds like you filed a complaint, so it should be investigated. That's about all you can do as federal law is concerned. Unfortunately, only the government can bring an action under HIPAA. However, Maryland has its own Medical Privacy Act that does allow for private action. You would have to show actual damages, which can sometimes include things like harassment or embarrassment. It is probably worth your time to reach out to an attorney who specializes in the MCMRA. Oh, thank you. I told my therapist about all of this, so I'm sure she'd be willing to back me up as far as claims of emotional distress. No problem. Hope that you were able to find someone to help you. Best of luck with the surgery, and sorry that their breach of privacy is adding stress to what I'm sure was an already stressful enough situation. Thank you so much. Have a great week. And our final one, updates. I'm making progress with HIPAA, but not a lot, and things have been unduly stressful. Check out my account if you want to keep up to date on my situation, but I have some updates. Doing a TLDR at the bottom. Good news. I am in contact with a lawyer currently. He's taking my case pro bono because I couldn't afford to pay him, but we're still contacting the office, my parents in the office, and their HIPAA officer, and things are moving slowly because there is a lot of information that needs to be gathered and collected, but we're getting there slowly. I sold some of my things and contacted abortion assistance programs and got about $800 towards my procedure and scheduled it. It's nowhere near where I need to be, but it's there. Bad news, my appointment is tomorrow, and I'm still short over $1,000 and will probably have to reschedule. My partner can't take me tomorrow regardless, because he has something out of state which he has to go to. My mental and physical health feels like it's been declining, and I'm trying to hang in there, but it's definitely difficult and isolating because of the shame I feel surrounding this. Thought you guys deserved some sort of update on this situation. And hey, that seems like all we have for today's episode, guys. That was quite a lot to go through. There's some nice stories in there. Tell me what you guys have, what you think about all these episodes today. Obviously, this is a very touchy subject. Not everyone enjoys the topic of abortion, but, we gotta put it out there. We gotta put people's stories out there, and I don't know, I'm glad that she's on the right path. Tell me if you guys have any experiences like this in your life. I'd love to hear them. Anything at all, you just put down there. Anyway, I love your faces, guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.